Chubby Peep, Suzanna here today for Freckled Fawn to share with you this hybrid layout. So I took the digital file and I think I took both the pocket card as well as you can see the pattern paper there, and printed them at different scales so that I had 3 different wreaths, and I will fussy cut each one of those wreaths. You can also see I printed the green diagonal stripe on vellum, again, so that is what makes this a hybrid layout. I'm going to fussy cut the 3 different wreaths, and I'm going to spare you the agony of having to watch that. And then with those, I'm going to create the layout. So I want a header or a border at the top of the layout for these wreaths to hang from. That is the idea. And I am going to use a punch for some coordinating red cardstock. This is from my stash, and I want that so that I can have a little bit more red down at the bottom of the page, so that there's a footer as well that will not span the entire length of the page. I'd actually initially thought that this was going to be at the top of the page, but I end up liking it much better at the bottom of the page, and you'll see how that comes together there. So see, that was my initial thought was up there. And so Freckled Fawn does not do 12 by 12 papers, so if you want to go 12 across like I am doing here, you are definitely going to have to piece those, and that is super easy with the stripes. It's fairly seamless there. So that is one of the pocket cards. I like to use the pocket cards on my layouts to house journaling. And so what I'm trying to figure out here is how I am going to make this work. So you can see here I have a 4x6 layout picture. It is a very old picture of Nicholas being pantsed and Mia laughing at that, and it was acceptable to scrap this because his pants, you cannot see his underwear or any private parts. But I am annoyed, I'm not annoyed, I'm disturbed by the way that the picture is bigger than the wreath, and unfortunately this picture was printed a long time ago and I have no idea where it is housed currently. So you can see I swapped out photos. And I like this black and white photo of my daughter holding her advent calendar last year much better than a colored photo, because I just feel that the black and white stands out more, and expresses a little bit more emotion, especially against this green. That photo was very dark. I was not into editing photos the way that I am now and creating that white balance. So I want to hang these wreaths, and so I need somewhere in which to hang them. So I created just a little slit in the white there so that I could tie a bow. This is the only wreath that is going to hang from ribbon, because that's all I have as far as this ribbon goes, and I don't have enough ribbon that would coordinate against all 3, but I wanted shots of red throughout the layout that detract your eye from this more mossy green that is in the background there. So it is much easier, I think, to adhere ribbon like this if you use double-sided tape. So I have some of my Gina K Thermoweb double-sided tape, and I'm going to just peel the back off of that, and there, a perfectly straight, nicely hung wreath from a ribbon, right? And it works nicely with the stripe, the angle of the stripe in the header there. And I have enough room in which to tie a bow, like one would have if one were hanging a wreath. One would have a bow. Some people put them on the top, some people put them at the side, some people put them on the bottom. I liked it here at the top, just because that it covers where I had tied the knot for attaching the ribbon there. So I find with bow tying that if you tie it upside down for your scrapbook pages, that it actually gives you the tails hanging in the right direction. I designed for Imaginease way back when. We Are Memory Keepers is part of American Crafts, and Imaginease was part of American Crafts, and Imaginease, We Are Memory Keepers has now taken over the Imaginease tools. I believe that's part of why American Crafts took over, Imaginis was for the tools, and then We Are Memory Keepers already had lots of tools, and so they integrated those two parts of the company. And so I am going to, in a second, after I hang my other wreaths here, use the ribbon cutter, which is now a We Are Memories Keeper ribbon cutter, but it was Imaginis, and so I'm going to use my Imaginis ribbon cutter to just trim off the edges of that ribbon there. In the meantime, while I've been blathering around, I am hanging these other wreaths. So that is red, green, and white baker's twine. I believe that came from the Dollar Spot at Costco, possibly 3 years ago, 2, 3 years ago. It's been in my stash for a while. And I had originally had a double strand of that, but I really just liked it single strand. It was too thick as a double strand. So I'm just using double-sided tape to hold that behind and then have the long strand coming up the top, but you can see I sort of messed that up. I couldn't figure, it took a rocket scientist to figure out what I needed to do there. And so that is actually not adhered to the page. I could, if I had wanted to, used my Ultra Bond from Thermoweb, a liquid adhesive with a thin metal tip and adhered that all the way up, but you didn't really need to, and then just as well that I didn't, because you can see I needed to move that smaller wreath over. So I like the way that those three wreaths are hanging from the edge there. I have a lot of straight lines and I want a little bit more A texture and B dimension on the page, so I'm just going to rough up these edges. I am not one to typically have to distress all of my edges, but I do really like the look of that on the page here. And so because it's just these simple vertical stripes, they are pretty easily, it's pretty seamless. You can't see where I have adhered the overlapping stripes there. So that is one of the Traveler's Notebook pages, and so it's actually one of the Scrapbook pages, which is slightly larger than the Traveler's Notebook page, so it is double-sided, and I will save those trees for something else there. So I love the photo there, but I do feel like I wanted just a little something, so I will back that. But now I'm working on this bottom spot here, so that's the printed vellum with, again, I'm using one of the digitals that I printed on vellum. It's the diagonal green. It just adds a little, it's a very subtle tone on tone. That you'll see in the close-ups much better. So rather than just having this giant in-your-face green card, I soften that with the red there, and then I thought that I wanted to have a few more layers, but I couldn't really find enough of the bright red to put there, and so I will end up using some of the labels, which is perfect from the kit. So when you subscribe to Freckled Fawn, you can choose either the Traveler's Notebook pages, the pocket cards, the scrapbook pages, and you can also add those. So you can do an a la carte. But you also get with the kit the washi. So this is what I'm using here. And I thought I would use the washi. You know, I frequently use washi to adhere photos. And I thought I would use it right there to adhere the pocket card. But yeah. The green is so dark in the card that it didn't work. So then I thought it would be a cool strip to go along with my punched red border there, but the washi is too opaque with the really in-your-face brightness of that red. There you go. And so you lost the texture of that. So I'm going to shuffle this around a little bit. This is longer than my usual video because I do a little bit of shuffling here. I tried long and hard to get this washi to work, and I will eventually include it, just not in any of the places that I had initially thought I was going to include it. So a little too much red there, so I'm going to trim that off for the balance of the weight of the darkness of that green as well as the red. I will off camera do some stitching, some machine stitching there. And that will tie it together nicely. So this is a label. So in addition to washi, you're always going to get some labels. as well as chipboard, and I'm only going to use a small piece of the chipboard. There you can see the chipboard set there. I thought maybe the Santa would look nice because, you know, with an advent calendar, you're counting down to the day that Christmas, the day of Christmas, the day of baby Jesus's birth. And Santa is who appears on that same day, but I didn't like it. And so I have this chipboard phrase that says family tradition. So it is a tradition for us to have advent calendars every year. Even as the kids have gotten longer, we've tried to choose more relevant advent calendars, which is part of what's really cool about the advent calendars. It's not just moving the little sticker anymore. You can get countdowns, you can get bobbleheads and chocolates, and that's what this is. This is chocolate from England, actually. So this is the ribbon cutter that I was referring to earlier. The long length of the ribbon was really bugging me, and so I wanted it to be a clean, non-fraying edge. So also available this month are some new metal dies for your manual die cut machine. So I have the speech bubbles. One says love and hello is what is in the other one, and that's more of a rectangular shaped speech bubble. There's also some really cool numbers that you can use for your December daily or document December or whatever it is that you do for the month of December. And I am going to definitely put an order in for those. I love how that brings a shot more red, that really bright red, to tone down some of that green to the layout. I thought maybe I might use it on reverse so that I could put a little bit more journaling on the page because I have been journaling a lot more, but I didn't like it. I do like it coming out of the photo up the top there. And then I left that space, that white space between the photo and the wreath for either the title and or more journaling. Lately I've been journaling in two spots, sort of the journaling has carried over to a different part of the page. And so I didn't want to cover up that space there so that I could have that free for something. This is where I decide I need a little something else around that photo. I didn't leave enough of a white border. And so these are just super fine red polka dots, and then I'm going to rip the bottom just to go with that ripped distressed edge at the top there. So that is pretty much the foundation of the page. It's just a matter of adding a few embellishments at this point. I love the heart in that green heart in the bottom wreath. It feels like it needs something in it, but for some reason I've glued it up the top right there, and I use liquid glue, so that is not going to come up. But I might find another green chipboard heart somewhere. I know I have lots of green chipboard hearts, or I have puffy stickers that I can put back in there later, and that would look nice. It would pull the whole thing together nicely. So you also get letters with your kit. These are I bought separately, but you will get some red puffy letters. They're really cool. I'll do the title in those in a minute. But I liked that 2020 in the wreath there. And I like the way that the black pulled out the black and balanced out the black in the photo on the right hand side. So showing you where I hand stitched with a black thread there, and then I am going to adhere that chipboard. So the chipboard always is, the chipboard that you get from Freckled Fawn is stickered chipboard, but I always use a little extra adhesive for a little extra oomph to make sure that they stay, especially when you stack your pages. I store my albums vertically, and so gravity, of course, wants to pull everything down to the ground, including sticker chipboards, because those are heavier pieces. So I like to add a little bit of liquid adhesive to that. So a while ago, a scrappy friend of mine, Christina, she sent me these red sequins because she knows that red is my favorite color. And when I designed for Spiegel Mom Scraps, I always wanted more red. I never felt like there was enough red. So she sent me my own red sequins, which I am applying to my page with some Zots Blings from Thermoweb, and they hold them super nicely on the page. So just adding a trio. I like the way that they make the red in the wreaths pop out. So that is going to wrap up the layout. I'm just going to work on the title now, and the title is going to say Countdown. You can see how I thought maybe initially the title might go at the bottom, but again, I like it in that white space, filling that white space just with these really subtle letters. They're so I really like them. They're different. They're not the same weight as a lot of letter stickers are. They're super thin, so you do need to apply them with tweezers. Pardon my big old head there. And that, my friends, is going to wrap up my first layout with the October kit for Freckled Fawn. If you have any questions about the subscription or Freckled Fawn, please don't hesitate to leave them in the box down below. And if this layout has inspired you in any way to create another layout, I would love for you to share with me what it is and how it has inspired you, or maybe an element to carry over to your own design work. So thanks for stopping in today. I hope you are doing well. Come back again soon. Take care.